So what are our options?
Let's get to the meat of it now. So
what are our options for this home?
So 3 options that we're going to talk about. The first one is just really selling the home. So it's probably going to be the quickest, simplest way of, creating that equity there for you. So, that way, it's clean. You don't have to get into sort of complications that we're going to get into, next
yes.
there.
And then you could just add that liquidity, new liquidity to the rest of your assets to split.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah.
To go as a down payment on the next house there.
Or pay off debts or whatever.
Yeah. All right. That's one already done.
Well, but there's other concerns. So let's say you bought the house 6 months ago and miraculously it somehow appreciated a lot. You don't get that capital gains exclusion because you have to live in it for at least 2 years.
Yep.
So then if it miraculously goes up in 6 months, which I guess in this case, hopefully it doesn't, you'll have to pay taxes on the gain when you sell.
Yeah.
And maybe you live in an expensive part of town and the house you've owned for 20 years. And if you sell it, it's going to be really expensive to rent or buy something else.
If you needed to stay in that area.
If you need to stay in the area for school or whatever. Yeah. And being able to qualify for a new loan. If you're dual income and you are qualifying for a mortgage and then you become single income and maybe you can't find a loan as large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's obviously can present challenges for either party, whether they're working or not, though. Especially if you've got maybe the stay-at-home spouse there, that could even present additional challenges for them. Correct.
And I wasn't a stay-at-home spouse, and I had some challenges refinancing by myself. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got through it somehow. I think I had to sign up for a higher rate loan.
Well, you could be a high income earner, but maybe you've just started that new job there and they're needing to see more of a track record.
That's right.
That happened to me because I think that was around the COVID time there. So, and we had just kind of stepped out on our own there.
Oh,
so my income, dropped down initially there and they wanted to see more of a track record.
Right.
Yeah. What about that second option though?
I'm going to buy you out.
Yeah.
You get out. You move out and I'm going to buy you out. Get out.
No, I'm
staying.
Out. I'm staying.
No, get out.
Because I love this house. I put too much time and effort into this house.
I put blood, sweat, and tears in this house.
Yeah. Does that sound familiar? It comes up so often, doesn't it?
I'm going to buy you out and I make no money. How are you going to buy me out?
Yeah.
Yeah. It does come up.
Yeah. And
it's for the kids. I don't want to disrupt the kids. They love this house. They're going to be so sad if we leave this house.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of difficulties that you need to consider when you start, if you're going to look down at this option of one party buying the other one out there, because, just because you're buying that other party out, and if there's a mortgage, that doesn't necessarily mean that the other person's taken off the mortgage though.
Yeah.
And then if you do buy the other person out, what other impacts can that have? That can affect the other person's ability to get a mortgage of their own, because if they're still stuck on that mortgage and now they've got to go and get their own house, they might not be able to qualify.
Right. That's if both parties stay on the mortgage.
That's if both parties stay on the mortgage.
But there's other things, right? So buying out, if you take it literally, does the person buying the other person out, do they have hundreds and thousands of dollars to literally buy out the person?
Yeah.
Are they going to give up all the remaining assets just to keep the house? So let's say you're 55 years old, gray divorce. You're like, I'm going to keep this damn house. I don't care. Even if I give up all our other assets, I'm going to keep this damn house. How are you going to retire in a few years if you give up all retirement assets just to keep the house? Are you going to work for the rest of your life?
And often you'll see people maybe giving up parts of their retirement account or some sort of investment account. And
just to keep the house.
Yeah, exactly. And something that needs to be considered is the taxes and how each of those, not every asset, and we said this beforehand, not all assets are taxed the same way. So it's not like you can say, I'm going to give you, that 300,000 mortgage or 300,000 worth of equity in the house, and I'm going to give you, a $300,000 retirement account.
And then the person buying out, can you even afford to refinance? Did the two of you have a 2.25% 30-year mortgage together? And now that you try to refinance, is it going to be 7%? And is it going to double your payments?
Yeah. Can you
do that?
Yeah. Can you continue to cover all the additional costs of maintaining a house or a property? You know, they do cost.
And also back to that capital gains. So if you buy out the other person, are you going to take into account that lost $250,000 capital gains exclusion from the other person?
Yeah.
Right. So.
And then
or are you going to factor that in?
Yeah. Or if you can't maintain it, and I think there's, you'll have cases of where people have stayed in there when they financially really shouldn't have, and a couple of years down the line, they're having to sell it anyway. Now, if it's been 3 years, you've now missed out on an opportunity to have your ex $250,000 worth of capital gains exclusion potentially being included, correct?
Well, they still have to own it.
Yeah.
They have to own it. So if you buy out, that's it.
Yeah.
So you can try to factor that into the buyout, what that capital gain is. But it's complicated.
Yeah.
So, and I will say I'm an example. I was like, I'm going to buy my ex out. I can afford it. I can do it. I was able to refinance successfully. And then honestly, 4 months later, 4 months after I had it by myself, it was like, I can't make these monthly payments by myself. And I did have to hopscotch around the neighborhood and rent.
So do you think that was an emotional decision that you made? Because I know you didn't want to keep it though as well.
I wanted one of us to keep it. And he wasn't going to be able to. And it looked like I was going to be able to. And I guess on paper, I was able to. But then the monthly costs, I quickly realized was not sustainable at the time. And thank goodness, I guess, I was able to rent it out and then rent something smaller and cheaper down the street for several years before working my way back. And as we've said in other episodes, it's like everything's temporary. So I couldn't afford it at the time. I couldn't afford it for a few years. And then I figured my career out and changed a few things so that I was able to afford it and come back.
Yeah.
But it was really, it was kind of a nail biter for a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Joint ownership.
I hear people, they go, you know what, let's keep the house together. We'll rotate, like we'll rent a smaller place where one of us will go spend a week abouts. And
oh, yeah, I've heard that. So
because they want to keep the kids in that house.
So for clients that I maybe have more assets or better income, I guess, higher net worth, they keep the kids in the house, and then each spouse takes turns living there for a week or whatever. And then they leave and live somewhere else for a week. Yeah. So that means 3 homes from one.
Yeah, that just seems like a nightmare.
It seems like a luxury.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be judgy. Like, I guess if I could afford it, I would do it.
I just see it coming with a lot of other conversations that you need to have.
Yeah, it's like, wash your damn dishes. Why do you leave that?
Yeah, why did you leave it for me to do?
Yeah.
Or what happens when you start dating someone else?
Ugh.
You know, like, why are you bringing over that new girlfriend of yours or boyfriend? Like,
yeah, or even the decor in the home.
Look, I understand it in principle. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I understand it in principle. Like, it sounds great. Like, let's keep our kids here. I think you'd probably see this more if there's kids involved, probably. Yeah. But
there's other reasons that people want to keep it for hypothetical investment.
Yep.
Right. So you live in a cool place that appreciates a lot. We live in LA, and I think people have all these fantasies that we're all gonna move out in the summer of, what is it? Summer of 2028 or whatever. When the Olympics is here, and we can rent it out for like $10,000 a day or something.
Yeah.
Which probably not. Not.
So I don't know. Yeah. It seems like everyone in LA is moving out during the Olympics.
So we have heard from a few clients that's like, hey, maybe we keep our home to rent it out to some athletes or people that want to watch the Olympics.
What year is it now? 2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a few years away.
I mean, this will come out in 2025, so it'll be sooner.
That's right. But it's making a decision something so far down the track there
Right.
that's just for such a small gain, and it is a small gain in the long term.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And just having to continue being involved with each other more than what's necessary, i.e. kids.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends. Maybe you two are BFFs and it works, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Another reason why people might want to actually keep that joint ownership is if maybe they haven't hit that 2 of the 5-year mark as well for the capital gains.
Mm-hmm.
And then they write it in there saying, hey, once we hit that 2-year mark, let's sell it then.
Let's get rid of it.
It could be like almost like a delayed sale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or maybe one spouse continues to live there with, and have the kids, or, be in the school district that they want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they can't afford to buy the other spouse out.
Yeah.
Right. So then they have to cut a deal. So if you can't buy each other out, but one spouse is really going to benefit from it, maybe the assets are split a little differently because one spouse gets to benefit more. There's just a multitude of ways to kind of come up with a negotiated settlement so that one spouse gets to stay there while the other one doesn't, but then they both own and financially benefit.
Yeah.
But that sounds hard.